Okay, both are going.
Good morning, everybody. This is episode 314 of the OotiniCast. Alex is meant to be joining us, but I suspect he's sleeping in because they are 2 hours behind me, which means it's only 10 to 8 in the morning where he happens to be. And obviously our other guest is Blay. Hello, Blay.
Hi guys. Hi.
Oi. She'll do the proper intro, of course, in just a second. Now, do we have anything else to talk about before we get all of our recording started?
I think
We've only got one tip of the week. Anything else we wanted to discuss?
Let me get Audacity rolling while I'm thinking about it.
That is a good idea. Could you do the same, please, my Lord Blay?
Yep, I've been recording for the last couple of minutes. Since
that is
the
excellent.
hangout started. Just in case.
All right. Let me just check the news. Just want to see
Test,
if we're at
test,
war
test.
with North Korea.
Test.
Not right this second. Apparently, our Prime Minister has said that if the US is attacked by those North Korean bastards, Australia will be right there with you. Yeah, anyway.
It seems to be controlling my mic again. Let me try it again.
Sure. If you have to restart the browser.
Test. Yeah, it's controlling it. I'll have to restart mine.
All right. See you shortly.
Audacity's rolling though.
Okay. So let's just emotion versus logic and facts. It's a conversation in chat at the moment. So yeah, that is a thing at the moment. It does seem that for whatever reason there is this swing back towards bugger the science. Let's just go with what we want to be true, or what we feel is true, which was why science was invented in the first place. There's this fantastic quote by Carl Sagan that he wrote in his book, The Demon Haunted World, in 1996, which is it's quite pertinent. But yeah, something about the dumbing down of America is most evident in the slow decay of substantive content in the enormously influential media. 30-second sound bites, now down to 10 seconds or less, lowest common denominator programming, credulous presentations on pseudoscience and superstition, but especially a kind of celebration of ignorance. That was in 1996. Sorry?
In chat, they're saying they can't hear you.
Oh.
I can hear you
can
just
hear
fine.
you.
I'm back, by the way.
Why would that be? Because he stopped streaming, I guess. The YouTube should be fine because it's going to the Hangouts.
Stream is back to normal.
Yeah, okay. So YouTube was fine. It was just the
YouTube, the Hangout should not have stopped. In fact,
did you stop OBS?
Nope.
Okay, so
I mean, it showed other stuff, but
yeah. It's all right. False alarm. Pendrakos. That's a new name. Okay. All right. Sorry. Let's get on with it. Pendrakol. All right. So that was just a brief diversion to fill some time. It's something that interests me, as I have a general interest in philosophy and science. But we're not going to get into that here, because this is Star Wars. The Force is back, as War Games just said. Right. Let's go, chill.
Yep.
Make the magic happen.
All right. Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that wasn't going to let you get all the credit and take all the reward. This is episode 314, being recorded on Thursday, August 10th, 2017. I'm your host, Jill, with our producer and co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey, guys.
And our guest today is Blay, and we may also have Alex, aka Mix Up Pixels, come, but he seems to be having troubles getting to us. So it's Blay. Hey, how you doing, Blay?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. And what have you been up to in-game?
So much. So much. Basically, it's been a case of just leveling. I got to the point where I had a couple of characters who were all on sort of level 65 and were just sticking there, and I wasn't playing with them or doing anything with them. And it just got to a point where it suddenly just annoyed me, and I thought, right, that's it now, I'm going to get them up to 70. So basically, it's just been flashpoint, because that's been my method really for leveling, because I noticed that a lot of my characters hadn't even done coffee, and once you're 65, doing coffee is just so slow. You've got to do so many chapters in order to get to 70.
Yeah.
So flashpoints, I decided was the way to go. Even though it's not the fastest way, you could just go into an operation and get up to 70 in a couple of minutes without any problems. But Saturday I did 2 characters from 65 to 70, and then I made a mistake. Then I'm getting a little bit cocky. I'm thinking, if I can do 2 characters 65 to 70 in a day, I'll easily do a character 60 to 70 in a day. Easily.
How'd that work out?
Badly. So badly. I did a vote asking people to decide which character I was going to do. That was possibly mistake number 1. Because it meant I ended up doing a character whose rotation and abilities I didn't have a clue about. I couldn't remember. And I couldn't remember a guide for it anywhere. So I ended up doing a ruffian scoundrel all the way. And I thought, okay, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick with a plan. I'm going to do veteran flash modes. And I'm going to pug them. I'm going to pug every single one. And oh my word. I think at the start of the day, I started about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I finished at 9. I took about a 40-minute break. And I started off, and it was all sort of, this is fine, the pegs, no problems at all. Oh, that's a bit of a strange tactic. By the end of it, I was like a ranting loon. I was like a person who's just done PvP for about 12 hours. Because that's how it felt. After every flashpoint, I removed it from the list, so I never did the same flashpoint twice. And I ended up doing 15 flashpoints in order to get up to the max level.
Wow.
I think I only had 3 left to do. It was just absolutely incredibly hard. But then I think where I really, really lost it was on the very, very last one, where it was to do D7. And we got the group, we all went in, and one of the people decided, without asking anyone else in the group, that they wanted to do the bonus, and they wanted to do the full bonus. And the full bonus for D7 is actually quite long. But they didn't tell anyone, they just went off, just pulling groups. And we'd be doing things like, do you know the trick of jumping over the huts in order to avoid all the mobs in D7? There's a little trick where you go off to the side and you jump up onto the one hut and then jump from hut.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Haven't done that for a while, but I do remember that.
Yeah, they didn't want to do that. They wanted to just drive straight through the centre and pull everything.
Wow.
Yeah, and after when it's your 15th flashpoint, at that point you're really, really thinking, I don't want this right now. I just want to get this done. I just want to finish. So that was quite hard, and basically I did that for most of Sunday. And then this week, keeping with the sort of flashpoints, I did an operation on Monday, I think it was. There was nothing originally planned. I just logged on, and a couple of friends said, "Oh, come on, do an operation." So it was only EV hard mode, so that was no problem. And then again, last night, I got up yesterday morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, drove up to my client, stayed with them for a couple of hours, drove back. As soon as I got into the house, it was like, we're 1 person short for an operation. Do you fancy joining us? So after leaving the house at 5:30 in the morning, getting home at 7 p.m, driving 415 miles, I thought, that'd be a good time to do an operation. So I joined and did that. And
wow.
To top off my week then, tonight I went and did Blood Hunt. Master mode. And I probably haven't done that since it first came out. So the week it came out, I did it, got the achievement for completing it. Then there was that problem where the achievements got reset. And then after that, then every single group you went into, if you were pegging it, the second you went into Blood Hunt, that was it. The group would just quit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
but not
my
this time, huh?
Oh no, my friend tonight said, "Oh, should we just random it? Just chance our luck."
Madness.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we randomed it. Yeah, we got Bloodhound, and we actually did it all the way through.
Nice.
So, that was quite nice. It was just me, my friend, and then 2 pegs. And then later on, then 2 more people from the guild joined us, and we decided to, random it again. And we got Bloodhunt again. It was just a case of, I can't do this twice in one night. So we ended up giving up after the first boss, I think. Well,
Harden up, Blay. Jeez.
I know, but I'm so tired. I'm so tired from yesterday.
Yeah.
And
So if you drove over 400 miles, does that mean you were in Wales? So you must have gone all the way to what, Scotland?
No. Scotland's much further than that. Wigan, so it's basically the north of England. So yeah.
Still a fair way. All right.
Yeah. Past Manchester and then back again in a day.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, it's been quite busy. The other thing I've done, not quite in the game, but some of my old guildies. We all met up and we had a nice little weekend over in Reading. That's quite
cool.
nice. A lot of them have gone off and playing WoW now, but it's still nice to see the people I used to raid with. I know. They only tried to get me to join WoW about 6 times. But no, it was quite enjoyable. I've really, really had a great weekend.
Excellent. All right. Tio, how about your week?
I just thought I'd say, yes, I have been playing, but I haven't. So, at least not this week. So, I've had a bit of a change in circumstance in terms of the school, so I'm going to put that on hold for the rest of the year. Probably pick it up early next year, which means I might actually have some free time. Except my job has got fairly intense. Who would have thought when they promote you, there's all this extra responsibility, and you still have to do your old job as well, and they don't pay you any more money. Did I mention that?
Yeah, I remember that part. That part's the part that bugs even me.
It's just the way things work. But luckily, I do love what I do. I'd say I do it for free, but that would be a lie, filthy lie. But yes, anyway. So, believe it or not, next time, I may have actually played some SWTOR.
Awesome.
Who knew? Anyway, enough about that. Over to you, Chell.
All right. Let's see. Let's do a shout out to the chat room. Anu's here. Blaze here as Blachlach Gaming. Captain and GM is here. Dekion, DreadX, Elion D2, Evans 04111, Farce here. Eleva is here. Hey Eleva. Jockins, KJ, SMLD, Lee Baroja is here, who's been doing some streaming with me. Pendracos, who also has been. Shizzy Jizzy is here. Siskaika, Sludgester, Starry Saber, SWTOR is here. Hello, SWTOR. T'Challa is here. War Games and Bullwinkle. Hello, everyone. All right. Well, I finished leveling Chillgrave. She is now 70. And boy, healing to level really got slow towards the end. Yeah, I got onto Kotet, so that actually sped things up a little bit. But boy, some of those fights take a long time if you're the healer and you're relying on your companion for damage. Oh, and I ended on Chapter 2 of Kotet, which means you get Empress Asina. And yeah, she has, she starts at level 1, so... it was pretty slow, but it was still fun to do. I still actually like the character, but I felt pretty good about being done with that. Yes. Mostly I got in several sessions leveling Trooper Chill Goal with previous guest Lee Baroja and Pendracos, who's now in the guild. Might have been in the guild on another character, but we also got his current character in the guild. We're all leveling troopers together, and that's the whole idea, is that we get to see the different variations on all the conversations. So we got through Hoth and the end of Act 2. That was kind of cool. And we're on to Belsavis now. I'm enjoying that character a lot. We definitely, with three characters plus one companion, we definitely blow through all the content pretty fast. So even though we're seeing the conversations 3 times, which slows it way down, when we're actually fighting and stuff, it's way faster than it would be otherwise. So it's actually a lot of fun. All right, and that will bring us to the tip of the week. We have one tip this week, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. It's from Dekion. Dekion writes, "Greetings, fellow Ootini listeners. Have you defeated a boss or completed an opera flashpoint and realized your command XP boost expired a few minutes earlier?" Yes, I've done that. It hurts. It hurts. It also hurts even with just regular, XP boosts. So, here's a tip that will help keep track of when your command boost runs out. Place a command boost in your toolbar. If you have an active boost, the icon will be dark. When your boost runs out, the icon will light up and allow you to click it. This is a great way to keep track without constantly hovering over your boost in the buff bar, wondering how much longer you'll need until you refresh it. Keep up the great show, and may the force be with you. And the winner, of course, is Dekion. And that's a good tip. I appreciate that, Dekion.
I guess you could put it in for your base attack, couldn't you? For as part of your rotation. Okay, you won't be doing much damage, but you'll definitely be clicking that button every couple of minutes.
That is one other way, yeah. Yeah, I've been putting like companion gifts on my bar and using that trick too. So that's nice as well. All right, so congratulations, Dekion. You're the winner of a Ton Fawn or M83R droid pet code, courtesy of BioWare, and a new OotiniCast provided cartel market pack from the latest shipment. And if you would like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com by the day before the next show, which will probably be 2 weeks from today. And that will bring us to the holo feed. Teal?
All right, let's start by talking about the launcher, the SWTOR launcher. It has been something of a fraught process, at least if you're on an old operating system. So they had an update where they updated the launcher, just a simple patch, or so it was supposed to be. It shouldn't have affected anything, but apparently it did. So it has something to do with the certificates, Microsoft certificates that they use, which I believe is for authentication, just to verify that the source or the sender is actually who they think it is. It's just simple private public keys encryption stuff, which is all very basic, but apparently due to Microsoft having dropped support for operating systems such as Vista, if you remember Vista, and more likely Windows XP, which at least some people are probably still running.
Yeah, XP was great. Yeah. It was great, but if they're not supporting it anymore, that really does start to take the shine off of it.
Yeah, Microsoft has a new policy these days that they were even extending the life for certain old operating systems. So even if they weren't publicly supporting in terms of new patches, even security patches, they stopped that. A business can pay them to get more patches. They've stopped that too after a certain amount of time. So you're just SOL if you really should upgrade to Windows 10, say. Of course, if you're on old hardware, that's a problem because chances are you won't be able to get drivers for your various devices on that old hardware. So if you move on to Windows 10, so you're kind of stuffed. So there's no good answer. Anyway, SWTOR, BioWare use some underlying APIs from Microsoft, which, and due to the deprecation, it looked like if they were below a certain level of the certain key length, if it's above that, it just won't work anymore with Windows XP. And that's at least probably why, but regardless, it just won't work anymore. So the bottom line is, if you are currently running XP or Vista, they have provided a workaround, which is a little patcher, so you can actually patch your launcher, so it will actually work. So that's great. But that won't work beyond October-ish, apparently.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's quite a short deadline, isn't it? For people to have to maybe buy new hardware and get an operating system as well.
Yeah, and there appears there's just no workaround for this beyond that, because they won't work anymore. They really have been trying hard. It's taken them ages to get to this point, but yeah, it's just not going to work. So anyway, it may actually continue working beyond October to a certain point, and then it'll just stop. So the only thing you can do is literally just upgrade your OS if you want to keep playing, which is kind of terrible. Yeah, but there's actually not a lot they can do. And as any software company knows, supporting old versions of the operating system, you do it, obviously, if your customers are on it. But when even the people who make the operating system are saying, yeah, they just wash their hands of it, there's not much you can do. So, a little unfortunate.
It's a pain, but XP is really, really old. I make a joke about it being 90s tech, but it's not that far off. It's early 2000s.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, Windows 7 was when? Was that too? We can look this up very quickly, just so we are accurate. Released to manufacturing in 2001. That was XP. You are correct. Yeah. Anyway, so as you say, people really should upgrade. Now, I've said it before, Windows 10 is actually really, really good. And unless your computer is particularly old, it should actually run it okay, because it's actually quite light in some ways. And as Arceptor said in chat, Windows 7 is pretty damn cheap now. So, yeah. Anyway, give it a go. Windows 7, if not Windows 10. Alright, next in the news, unassembled components, the PvP side of things, which I believe they're now turning up in all kinds of places, but that's how you upgrade your gear if you're doing PvP mostly. So they said they were going to plan planning some changes on the number of unassembled components that were rewarded in certain cases in Game Update 5.4, which, as we know, is coming on 22nd August. That's Tuesday, 22nd August. And they've actually summarized exactly what those changes are. They've increased the number of components a character can get each week in missions.
Okay.
They've increased the incentive for rank war zones to increase participation, so it's gone up. And they've shifted some of the rewards from the daily missions into weekly missions. So it's less punishing if you miss a day. So what that means is unranked. Overall, the rewards for daily missions is now 10 instead of 12, so it's gone down. Whereas weekly has gone up to 54 from 40. I suppose that makes sense. So you really are... It doesn't matter if you miss a day necessarily, or matters less, but you really should try to get the weekly done. And for ranked, the dailies, they've gone down just 15 from 16. And for the group, that was solo, and group has gone 30, up from 20. So even the daily for the group has gone up. For the solo weekly, now rewards 100 components, up from 30. This is full ranked. And the ranked group weekly, 200 components, up from 60. So they're encouraging you to do certainly the weeklies over the dailies, and well, ranked is just incredible. Even better if you do it in a group. So wow. Yeah, not that many people play solo group. Ranked group. But maybe they will in the future, at least if they want.
That'll help, yeah.
Yeah. Also, the command XP values of almost all of these missions has also been increased, and also the number of ranked season tokens you can earn from the ranked missions. Now that's all coming in Game Update 5.4, but I believe Season 8 ends in 5.4, so presumably the whole rank thing will continue in Season 9. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see when that starts. I mean, they're in the middle of all these class changes. There are more coming in 5.4. Whether there'll be some in 5.5, who knows at this point. Okay. Now, speaking of ranked PvP, Season 8 rewards. The blog is now live, a few weeks ahead of the actual ending of it on 22 August with Game Update 5.4. So, gentlemen, have a quick look through the blog. If you haven't already, the various tiers, remember you get all those tokens, which you then go to the vendor and can purchase the various bits and bobs. And so you've got the decos, you've got the various other things. The key items, of course, are the mount, the flaming Macron mount.
Yeah,
yep,
I
those
like
are
that
the...
mount.
It's pretty cool. It's a spidery looking thing. The things are called McKeb. And
right, it's even more spidery than most of the Mekrens are.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. There's an animated GIF on the site, so you can have a look at it. The flaming part seems to be on the forelegs.
Right.
Many forelegs. Maybe it's got an emote, so it actually does.
It's glowing, and yeah, there's a few sparks. Not many, but you can see a couple coming off of some of the legs.
Right.
Yeah, I have one other mount that's sort of like glowing like that, and you do get the sparks, but they're kind of rare, so it's not like fireworks.
Okay.
It's still pretty cool.
Yeah. Now the weapons, the various weapon sets, and as always you get the full set if you happen to be able to purchase them.
They're nice looking.
Pretty old school, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful
I like that
textures.
though. I mean, sometimes simpler is better, and these are nice and simple, but they do have a lot of the. They have like the crystal showing, window sort of deal, so you actually see the color crystal even when you're not shooting the weapon, which is nice.
Yeah, the that is very sort of Han Solo-ish, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Your Blaztech, whatever it was. Yes,
Yep.
indeed.
Yeah. It's the sniper
Okay.
rifle I quite like, because it seems to have quite a nice sort of silence on the end.
And yeah, all right. And the titles, the arena theme titles: Cove Cutthroat, Mesa. What is it? Mesa.
Mesa.
Mesa Mauler, Orbital Station Obliterator, Canyon Crusher, and Slayer of the Square. Okay.
Those are fancy.
Yes. All right. Obviously, we aren't really ranked PvPers, but for those of you who are, this looks pretty cool. All right. Now, Keith Koenig, our favourite BioWare producer for Star Wars: The Old Republic, has been posting again. So he's listed a bunch of stuff that's coming up, a lot of things we've now seen. Class changes in 5.4, we will get to that. They have put those up. Season 8 rewards, we just went through. The component changes he's gone through. They are going to add unassembled components to Master Mode boss drops in Game Update 5.5. So Master Mode operation drops, I think we did talk about this previously. Unassembled components, the PvP thing from Master Mode operations. Sure. And Bolster. And the general consensus from that was people want to see Bolster go as high as possible in terms of the item ranking you're granted when you buy Bolster, when you go into PvP. And so the answer is they'll be increasing Bolster to 242 in Game Update 5.5.
Okay.
So item rating 242, which will be just 8 shy of the maximum, which I believe is 250 at the moment, item rating. Does it sound right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I know there's been a lot of crying out for it to be at the max, but I agree with, I've kind of read what they've come back with, and I agree with it in terms of, well, what's the point? What's the point in actually gearing if you're just going to go in with a max gear automatically?
Yeah, exactly. And that has always been the problem with PvP. They could just make it level playing field, as you said, but that completely takes away the gear, the actual progression, which means if there's no progression and you're doing it to get gear, what's the point? Because gear doesn't matter.
Right, they have to find some other way, which is tricky.
Yeah, exactly. And you can say cosmetic rewards, but that isn't honestly that much of a motivator. I mean, it will motivate some people up to a point, but yeah, so gear, it's always been about the gear and MMOs, except for Guild Wars, where it isn't, apparently. 248, sorry, R2D2 arm, that's 248 is currently the maximum. So just 6 item rating, 242 is just 6 shy of the maximum. 248. Wow, okay. I believe someone suggested make it 250, which is above the maximum, which does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, now the Umbara stronghold that they mentioned last time we talked, that you could run the new flashpoint. You had to run the new flashpoint to actually get this new stronghold, which is on a train on Ambara, and if you've seen the concept art, which they did post, it's pretty bloody amazing. So that actually looks really good. So the way it is actually going to work is every time you run the flashpoint, you earn currency. Yes, another currency. And that can be used to purchase rewards, including the key to purchase the stronghold. Once you have the key, you can actually get the stronghold for a reduced amount of credits and cartel coins. Yeah, so you can't just buy it. You do need the key, but you don't just... Oh, sorry. You don't get the stronghold for running the flashpoint, which is a bit unfortunate.
Right.
It is pretty cool to gate it behind having to do the flashpoint, so you have to do the content to get it.
Yeah, I wonder what they mean by a reduced amount of credits when you can't buy it with just credits. I mean,
That's a good point.
Maybe they're just saying that it'll be a little less expensive than some of the other strongholds because you're also needing this other currency. It's a little odd.
All the strongholds are different prices anyway.
I know.
So one of this comparable number of rooms, maybe?
They have to be cheaper than a normal stronghold. But what I would have liked them to do is, okay, you can't buy it until you've done X amount of whatever. But the more you do of it, or the more currency you get, the cheaper it gets.
That'd be a nice system.
That would have been really nice.
Except it won't work like that. But that would have been really smart.
Because they want their cash. They want their money. So
they would prefer cartel coins, of course, but credits at a stretch. Yep. The idea here is to reduce the cost of buying a stronghold by using your investment in time to lower the overall acquisition cost versus paying the full price with either cartel coins or credits. We thought, hey, let's try something new. Or an activity you do anyway. You could benefit from your efforts and obtain a key from a currency you automatically get by running the flashpoint. Okay, so, and the numbers are, unless they change it, which they might, it'll be, you have to run it 10 times in story mode, or story/solo mode, to get enough currency to get the key. Run it 6 times in veteran, or 3 times in master mode. Those are the number of times you have to run the flashpoint to actually get into it. Or get the key, so you can actually buy the thing. 4 credits or cartel coins. Reduced price. And they haven't said what the reduction amount is. God, that really doesn't make any sense, does it? You're right, Jill.
Yeah. He does he clarifies it a bit down here. He says, probably not my best word choice. By reduced, I mean you can then purchase it for less than you would usually pay for a stronghold.
As we were guessing, right. Okay.
Yeah, so that was what we were guessing, exactly. Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay.
Good.
I do quite like the settings I've got, though, because 3 master isn't a lot at all. That's not much. That's not a grind in order to...
No, not at all.
It's
just
yeah. And even 6 veteran isn't much of a grind. 10 solo? Yeah. It's just a bit boring doing solo stuff. But
10 times.
You could
easily.
take a group in with your mind. You could probably...
Depends how long it is and how much fun it is too.
Yeah. True.
But 3 is nothing.
Alright, so I'm supposed to sit on my hands again. Sorry, I'm just talking with them too much. According to Liba Aroha, apparently you're copying my hairstyle, Blay?
Yeah, apparently. Although my hairstyle's always been like this. Yeah. It's a bit longer than normal at the moment. I usually have it shorter.
Wow, you are grey.
Yeah.
Not there's anything wrong with that.
I've been grey since I was 32.
Yeah. Alright, this happens apparently. Right. Sorry, brief distraction there, which will no doubt fail to get into the final product of the podcast. Where was I? Now, note that the currency you get from doing the flashpoint, and this is kind of cool news, it's not a legacy currently. But, and this is Keith, I know exactly what you're thinking, so let me pre-announce something which I suspect will make you smile, while at the same time irritate you because I won't tell you when until I update the roadmap. Mm-hmm. They're working on a change that will make currencies legacy-based. This includes unassembled components, the Umbara currency, and more. But it does include credits.
Wow.
So we are getting, when this happens, our legacy wallet. Well, it's something that people have been asking for ages. So you will have a pool of credits shared across your legacy. Every character on that server will just have a single pool of credits.
So
Sorry,
cool.
that is just really, really good. So of all the changes they've made recently, that one sounds fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was actually at the guild meet when I read that because I was just checking Twitter, and I almost danced.
Yeah.
It was such good news. I actually turned my phone around and showed it to one of the people who's with me, who does still play SWTOR, and was like, "Look at this!"
As opposed to a
This is
random
awesome.
stranger. Yeah.
Yeah. I could have shown it to a stranger. I was that happy with it.
Right.
I love it. Actually, do because there's a couple of sort of missions, like Rackle stuff, where you get tokens that can only be, so like on your character, you can only put into your bank. It's not a legacy item. I like if they do those at the same time. That'd be really great then.
And ultimately, any currency is just a number in a database, really. So especially if they're not items anymore, they're just in that tab, and they can just add a scroll bar to that, and you can have as many as you like. It's just,
Yeah. For example, the smuggler chips, the smuggler credits. I wish
Yeah.
those were legacy.
oh yeah, as opposed to taking up room. At least they can stack now to 99,999. So it doesn't take up a lot of room, but having a whole lot of them still a pain in the ass. Now, a good friend Snave, the mighty Snave, has pointed out a rather obvious flaw in this. Credits cause quite a problem, no? If you're at the credit cap on one character, how do you get around that? Credit caps, how is that going to work with a legacy-wide currency?
Right.
Escrow would be my guess.
Yeah, they do have the escrow, but it might be time for them to raise that cap a little bit. So, because it's pretty restrictive where it is now anyway. Prices keep creeping up, so
Or they could just drop the cap idea altogether.
for preferred, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise you would just have to have a legacy-wide cap, which would just be annoying. How's it going to affect the credit sellers? Now, there's a good question. I guess we'll see. Yeah, okay. So maybe you hadn't thought that part through yet. So, or they have, and we'll find out. Now, Keith did reiterate what they're doing this year. This is the old strategy. This is the old strategy that we heard about before. We are returning to our MMO roots. And as everyone knows, we were focused on story development, story, and left most MMO content alone for the past couple of years. To change our direction, we had to retool, reorganize, hire new talent, sack the old guard, he didn't say that part, and get everyone on board with the changed direction. That takes time, so we made a choice and decided to release the Operation Boss encounters one at a time. That gave us more time to design, polish, test, and get insight directly from players, versus making everyone wait all year before we released 5 new bosses. Wasn't an easy decision, but we knew we were going to be criticised while impacting progression efforts, but honestly it was a right call. We're discussing future content, how to release it, what's going to be included, and when, but we won't be ready to disclose our next year's plans for a while. So anyway, that's just his vague summary of where they're going. Absolutely complete lack of surprise in any of that. They've been completely transparent about what they're doing, and yeah, so yeah. Is this too transparent? No, I honestly don't think that's can be the case. But yeah, again, I believe they are being 100% honest here. This is what they're doing. And if they're not telling us what they're doing, they may actually not have decided yet, or it's all still a bit up in the air. Any predictions, gentlemen, on where do you think they're going? Are they going to have another expansion? Now, have they had enough of this whole MMO Roots thing and they want to get back to story? Keep a good balance of both?
I don't know. I reckon next year is going to be a bit of a mixed bag. I can't imagine that they're going to want to go fully down one route or fully down another route, because they've done that in the past. They've sort of swung the pendulum each way, and it always seems to upset somebody.
Always.
Yeah, well, they've got to be doing something because we know they've got the voice actors rolling. So, I mean, something's coming up. whether it's a full expansion or not.
That's a good
Usually,
point.
yeah. I mean, usually when they talk about a big, voiceover thing and they have some of the head honchos going out there to oversee it and stuff like that, that doesn't speak to me of just, a little bit of this and that, or, voiceover for a flashpoint or something. That kind of says expansion to me, or something very close to it.
Okay. All right. Blay, any further thoughts?
Well, I know what I'd like them to do. Obviously, I like more operations with a full-on expansion. Something along the lines of Revan, only a little bit longer and bigger. That's what I'd like, but
what they're doing this year is certainly clear. Now, Zen just said, I can't believe they won't have at least a small expansion at the end of the year, with Episode 8 coming out, The Last Jedi, which is a good point. But if they're focusing all of this effort on getting Operation Bosses in the current operation out, when are they going to be developing all this, your new operation and whatever else for an expansion? Unless they have a parallel team who's busily beavering away on that in the background.
not only that, they'd have to be getting ready to announce that pretty soon anyway, because even though the announcements for new expansions have generally come out sort of months in advance.
Yeah.
So we knew it was happening. And at the moment they're just talking about roadmaps, and roadmaps isn't really that's about sort of, okay, we might announce that there's going to be something in there, but if there was going to be an expansion, I think it would have been in the last roadmap, not in the next roadmap.
Right. Yeah, I actually agree. And, Snave is saying that, as we were saying, if they're staggering boss releases because they're behind schedule, how could they possibly write an expansion? You just have to have your secrets team in the background with completely separate resource pool just doing that. And that just doesn't seem to be what they're doing. Now, Zen mentioned the New York Comic-Con Cantina event is somewhere they could announce an expansion. But usually they have done it by now. They usually do it historically, and that doesn't really reflect the reality of what's going to be happening. Yeah, don't know. I'm actually with Snape. I don't think they're going to do an expansion. I think they're going to go Windows 10 on us and keep... It's Windows 10 forever, and you just keep getting incremental updates with cool stuff along the way, but
not a full expansion.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we will definitely see.
Right. Or maybe it'll... I mean, I guess at some point it will feel like an expansion, because there'll be enough, there'll be enough story content that it'll be the same as an expansion, but it'll just be rolled out over time as opposed to dropping all at once.
I think they will actually need to do the drop all at once, though, because that's the pattern that they went back to when they did Kotet, because the sort of small expansions, a little bit of time over a period of time, is what they did with Coffee, and they seem to realise that that wasn't what people wanted. They wanted the sort of binge, huge and entire content.
Very good.
Yeah. All right, let's return briefly, as Keith does, to the subject of Bolster. So he talks about people wanting 250, and with the current cap at 248 does make sense as in terms of gear progression. But then he says the right answer is we need to resolve the PvP gearing issues, so Bolster gets removed as a central issue. And then, Blay, you reckon this means they're going to bring back PvP gear, as in a stat on the gear, with differentiating it from regular gear?
I don't know if that is what they're going to do. It'd be quite interesting if they did decide to reverse that decision. It won't be the first decision that they've reversed.
Mm-hmm.
True. And there's no harm... Well, they've got to try stuff. And if it doesn't work out, they change back or change to something completely different. But I actually haven't really heard what has the overall impact been of that decision to remove the PvP stat. So PvP gear is PvE gear, which all started with the whole Galactic Command system. Do people like it? Are people pining for the days when the gear was actually different and you just had to earn that PvP gear specifically by doing PvP and only by doing PvP?
Well, Snape's just come out and said the removal of PvP gear is the worst decision they've made. So, and
There's
there's
so
a
many
guy who
reasons
plays
it could have been
PvP.
for that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, I imagine it means you're going to have get people gearing up in operations or whatever, getting the very best, and then just going into PvP, fully geared. And anyone trying to level up characters or gear up characters through PvP are going to get their faces smashed, potentially, by all these PvEers. Well, probably not, if they know what they're doing, the PvPers that is, but still, it's unbalanced and potentially unfair, but it's also certainly a hell of a lot simpler.
Right.
Just like the Galactic Command system used to be, with the boxes anyway, and now it isn't. Chell, any opinion on what they should do in terms of bolster?
I unfortunately I've been out of PvP a little too long. I don't think I'm probably the right person to answer this, but like I've said before, I in principle I love the idea of just having one set of gear and just PvPing with everyone being equal in gear, but I do see the trouble with getting people to play if there's no without a gear reward. You got to find some other way. So theoretically, yeah, I'd love to have everyone be one level and it be based on skill alone.
Right.
But I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, it's a hard one. Alright, just give me a second.
I think the thing I'd like them to sort out most of all is to try and make it so that they can actually balance classes based on PvP and PvE separately. If they could do that, I'd be very, very happy.
Alright, next, let's talk about... sorry, let me just catch up on this one. Just next, Keith talked about suggestions to the dev team. They do discuss them, debate them. If there's something they like, they determine the effort, decide what to do, and they have to work to a schedule to ensure they deliver all the stuff they've actually agreed upon. So as soon as you have stuff you actually are going to do, you have to plan that. That goes into your master schedule, which includes all of your resources, all the developers, and all whatever other assets they have to produce. And yeah, so if there's something they want to do and there's no room for it, it just gets pushed off till later. But what may seem like a simple change could really add works to not just development time, so doing the scripting or the art. There's also quality assurance. They have to test it to make sure it doesn't screw anything else up. There may be voiceover recordings if it actually changes story or whatever. And localization, never forget that. Remember, the game is delivered in German and French as well as English. So just a simple change will always need to be translated if it does impact any kind of text or obviously spoken dialogue in the game. And if it's when they do their voiceover recordings, they're not just recording English, they do record the other languages as well. There's a whole lot to it that we just never think about, really, because we only see the game in a particular way. And he says, although I'm notorious about asking for changes midstream, and I'll bet that annoys the developers, we desperately try not to, as it can impact everyone and cause schedule delays. Yes, that's just the thing. You can't just say, yeah, can you do this too? The answer isn't, yeah, sure, usually. It's, yes, but this will be impacted. This will be delivered a month later. Or whatever else.
The classic Agile sprint problem.
Yeah, don't talk to me about Agile and Scrum. So if you don't know how that works, you may hear these terms, but the whole Agile methodology is a bit of a fad in software in recent years. We used to have this top-down thing where you decide what you're going to do, and then you design it, and then you code it, and then you test it. This process took years, and by the time you actually got it delivered, it wasn't what anyone actually wanted, and that was always a bit awkward. Or you took so long you ended up failing for whatever reason. So Agile, the whole idea of that is you build a little, like you have these sprints. A sprint is some number of weeks, could be 2, 3, 4 weeks, where you actually do some development, but only what you can fit into a sprint, and then you deliver it, and people get that little enhancement of functionality, then you do another sprint, and each time you're just biting off a little amount and just changing things a little, because you can't do much in 4 weeks. Of course, that's great if you've got like a website and you're adding some new feature to it, or even a delivered piece of software and you're just adding a little feature. But if you're doing anything big, it takes lots of time, and it's just not really that practical. So you have to take the long view. Anyway, so if you hear people talking about Agile, Scrums, and stand-up meetings and pair programming, it's all just that whole terrible, terrible thing which has become all the rage of late. Do you, Blade, do you guys do Agile?
Yes, yeah,
No,
we do it, and I don't go to the stand-ups because I consider them to be a waste of time. It falls into that category of meetings that I don't go to because there's no agenda, and I don't see the point of me being there.
Right. And again, in case you were wondering, a stand-up is exactly what it sounds like. Every morning, usually, your development team stands up in a big circle, usually. You stand up because if you sit down, it's a meeting and it will prolong it. So the idea is it's quick. And you go around the room and ask everyone how they're doing and what are their blockers and all this other corporate jargon crap. And it's just a whole lot of for the talkers in your group, it gives them a chance to sound off. Anyway, not that this bothers me at all. All right, let's get back to something more interesting. Server merges. Yes, server merges. Now, you may remember they kicked off a thread in the official forums about, well, the whole server merge thing and what do people think? How should they do it? Should they do it? So Keith has a response to this as well. So if a server merge was the direction, then they need to make sure that they understand the reasons why players don't want to move. Because some people obviously don't want to actually merge all the software, don't want to merge off their server onto some mega server or whatever. Again, because we've actually done this before. We have hardware and software, connectivity and database considerations. That pretty much sums it up as well. Is there enough hardware to run a mega server? Can their database handle it? Because that is classically the bottleneck. And they've also got tons of in-game things to consider, like legacy cargo hold slots across multiple servers. What happens if you merge them, squish them all together? Decos and strongholds. Again, this is all merging legacy stuff. Is it like just one big character transfer where you're all transferring and everything goes all together? Currency caps, you may be fine on your separate servers, but mush them together, and then what happens? Merging of legacies, but that actually works pretty well with character transfers. How many characters on a server? Because you got 50 on multiple servers, you bring all the servers together, what then? Do you have the usual 200-ish? Can they handle it? And guilds. Now, guilds is particularly painful because, well, I mean, technically, a guild is a unique entity which you bring it across. It should survive, but if there's any kind of name conflict, just like with character naming, you have a problem. And then they've got conquest and the domination of large guilds over everyone else. That's just going to get even worse. Area respawn rates, because you're going to have more people if you have a single merged server. Yeah, anyway, so blah, blah, blah. It's hard and just not necessarily obvious. If there was just one active server on each coast, for example, East Coast, West Coast, and in Europe, and the rest were dead, they could probably merge without too much of a problem. But there are people who actually prefer the deader servers and like the fairly empty areas, etc. But, of course, SWOTO's whole architecture is to have the various instances which never get more above a certain cap anyway, so at some point it doesn't matter. Yeah, anyway, I'm sure they will get there. But whatever they do, they need to ensure that the entire guild, if you are merging a guild, flagships, decorations, bank tabs, items, strongholds, decos, everything, all of it is 100% intact. Imagine you merged and your stronghold got de-decorated, undecorated, or whatever. It would be terrible, because people have put a ton of time into that, or even just your personal stronghold. And character names, definitely you don't want to lose your character name. So, yes, because we went through this once or twice before, and it wasn't pretty. In fact, I believe a whole lot of people quit the game when they actually did the merge to mega servers, and people just were forced to lose their names if there was any kind of collision. Yeah. Anyway, so be it.
Should be a
All
little
right.
bit better now that you got spaces and surnames, or surely.
Indeed. But again, who's going to be forced to use a space and a surname if there's a collision? Yeah. All right, let's talk about class changes. So what I thought we'd do is quickly run through what they have in mind. Now, I think they have already hinted this is coming, but for lethality and ruffian disciplines, what we have is... basically, they said they're overperforming, so they made a few changes that lower DPS down to the appropriate target, back to those target levels I've talked about previously, and they'll go through the actual specifics of it. Anything there of note?
For the Ruffian, I've only just started playing Ruffian. That was one of the, well, that was the character that I ended up leveling on the weekend.
Oh.
And the rotation was really, really simple. I pretty much never ran out of energy, and I was just absolutely smashing things down. It was brilliant. Absolutely loved it. Even when I didn't know what I was really doing, I was still able to kill stuff.
Right.
It did feel a little bit OP, to be honest with you.
Alright. Do you reckon that the changes they're talking about will actually fix that in terms of their OP-ness? Haha. Overpoweredness?
Can't really tell you too much.
Right.
Like I say, I've only just started playing the character. It was, you know, it was fun and everything, but some of the damage being increased. I'm sure we're just gonna have to trust them, really, that is the appropriate level that it's supposed to be going down to.
I assume it's, if you're looking at lethality, and the corrosive assault no longer deals additional damage per poison effect. Instead, it now triggers additional damage from your periodic poison effects. Okay. I suppose that makes sense. They increase the amount of energy from Toxic Blast, so presumably you can't spam it. Or was it quite low before? Yeah.
Don't think it was.
Alright.
Since
yeah, I'm pretty sure I never tried that discipline on my operatives and slash scoundrels. Alright, so anyway, let's also talk about the other change, which was to Fury Marauders and Concentration Sentinels coming in game update 5.4. It's really just a small buff, really. Just they needed a small boost to bring it up to the target DPS. So it just increased the damage done by bloody slashes or burning slices by 35%, which is quite a lot actually. But yes, apparently that'll do the job. Alright, so that's all coming game update 5.4, 22nd August with the class changes. Now, Blay, how have you found the class changes today? Because we haven't spoken to you since those changes in 5.3 went live.
To be honest with you, I haven't come across any content yet where I've really felt, oh my god, I can't do this anymore purely because of the nerf. What I have noticed is that the energy drain is much, much worse now than what it was before.
Okay.
My force was just absolutely dropping like crazy. I can't burst for a decent amount of time like I used to be able to. But in the original notes, they were talking about trying to change people's rotation. They were trying to take that Roman Mend to the single healer, single person healing rotation, and it hasn't really. All it actually means is I got to do an extra consumption every now and then.
That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Alright.
So, yeah, I'm just losing one GDC, really. And that was it. Just one extra consumption, and I seem to be able to keep my force relatively high, or high enough that I can just carry on healing using my normal rotation. So, end of the day, yes, it has affected me. It has dropped, but I'm still quite viable, I feel, and still able to do content. And in fact, I'll know for definite this weekend because I'm joining a hard mode team, and we're going to try and do hard mode Tithe. So if there is a serious drop in my healing, I think that's the fight where I'm going to find it.
Okay.
That sounds about like what they were going for then. I mean, if you feel it's affected you, but you also feel you're viable, well, that's pretty much, probably sounds like the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Are people still complaining about it, or have they? Yeah, okay. All right, that's it for SWTOR news. Let's just talk about one other piece of indirect news related, was the latest quarterly results from Electronic Arts. If you look at their share price, they're doing extremely well at the moment because things are they're just doing really well, basically. Now, with Anthem coming in first financial year 18, which I believe means will translate into sometime next year, coming from BioWare, that is, well, we still don't know much about it. We've talked about it before. Contiguous open world that is ever-changing and influenced by players, whatever that means, as they band together and support each other in their journeys, is the direct quote. Sure. Huh. So they've got something cool in mind, and they have talked about this previously, something about what they're doing is just awesome and wow and unprecedented, and we're giving them enough rope to hang themselves, kind of thing. So it could be awesome, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
Other highlights, there's the action-adventure game, Star Wars game coming from Visceral. Still no real details about it. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is a primary source of growth, along with that sports crap, FIFA something, and NBA Mobile. Basketball. Yippee. Yes. And Battlefront 2, of course. And that particularly uninspiring presentation at Star Wars Celebration, apparently the game itself is actually going to be pretty good, will bring the unforgettable Star Wars experience that fans want. A game 3 times the size of the previous title, the original Battlefront.
Wow.
With a new single-player story, iconic space battles, deeper multiplayer, whatever the hell that means, and a new event-driven live service model that will keep the community together long after launch. Okay. And our creative teams are applying advanced technologies and data intelligence to craft new experiences like the massive dynamic environments in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Those are just some quotes I pulled out.
Sounds good. I have no idea what it means.
No. Data intelligence. What the hell does that mean? Keep the community together.
It sounds like it's being written by someone in the marketing department.
Well, we know they were researching AI, so maybe one of the first things that the products of their AI research is the writing of these press releases. So just combine random business fantastic words and just make it sound awesome. Yeah, and the Frostbite engine. Mm-hmm. Now, we know the Frostbite engine is used in Battlefront and various other games. It's almost certainly will be used for Anthem. I'm pretty sure they confirmed that. And what they said was, and this is used across multiple EA titles, they have a very large team across a number of different locations who are constantly and continually investing and innovating in that engine, the Frostbite engine, in terms of visual fidelity, physics, animation, AI, every aspect of that a game team needs to develop the most innovative and creative experiences, etc., etc. So in other words, the Frostbite engine it's EA proprietary, obviously, and yeah, all of their teams who are using it are contributing to it. We know that the Mass Effect Andromeda was built with it, and they may have actually contributed to some of their issues, including their facial animations being a little unfortunate, or so I hear. Never did end up playing it, and as you may have heard, the studio that made, the BioWare studio that made Mass Effect Andromeda has kind of been discontinued and merged, and yeah, so don't look for any more Mass Effect games in the near or mid or probably ever future, it seems, which is a bit unfortunate. They were really hoping that Andromeda would kind of kickstart things or restart the whole franchise, but Looks like it's going nowhere, and Anthem is going to take its place as one of the primary BioWare IPs.
The predictions that there's not going to be a Mass Effect Andromeda DLC continuing the story is starting to look more and more likely. By likely, I'm saying almost certain. By almost certain, I'm saying, I put money on it.
Okay. They talked about their investment in R&D. They're building a new studio in Montreal, and they've hired over 100 people into that studio that are brand new to EA, and they're going to build a new IP around Jade Raymond's team. Who's Jade Raymond? Anyone know?
Where are you now, Tio? I'm trying to figure out where you are on the page.
This is from Blake Jorgensen, the CFO. It's towards the bottom.
Is it after the Andromeda stuff?
No, before that.
Oh, okay.
Let me highlight it around there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, let me just skip that because it turns out he didn't actually say anything. I thought he was going somewhere with that. Andromeda launched, so let's talk again about Andromeda. Mass Effect Andromeda launched to underwhelming reviews and a fan backlash. Yes. Oh well. Yeah, and they didn't really talk about it. Oh, I should mention, what was the mention? How was SWOTOR talked about in the annual, in the earnings call or the subsequent 10Q quarterly report? Because that is something that we've been looking at every time, previous quarterly and yearly. No mention again. It's still on the slide as one of their live services, still there.
Okay.
It's moved again. Completely random point, but absolutely no mention. It has not, in the quarterly report, they did not say that revenue had been reduced by whatever due to SWOTOR. It certainly hasn't increased, so they're saying nothing, which again is probably a good thing.
Well, they wouldn't be springing for all the voice actors if if it was going down the toilet. So it's okay. It's all good. It's all good.
If there is a new Star Wars game out there, then that isn't Battlefront. There's something else. The action adventure one they're working on. Maybe they start easing up, but again, it's the only MMO, Star Wars MMO. So until there's something to replace it, which it sounds like there's not going to be, I see no reason why they would discontinue it if they can just keep it rolling and it keeps making money for them. But again, by amount of content that they're producing, I suspect, as we've said before, they are running lean. So when it doesn't cost them much, but they're still making money, why not just let them keep going? The problem is their engine is aging, as the whole XP thing made painfully clear. And all of EA is investing in Frostbite, so there aren't that many proprietary engines left. Anyway, as we said, they have their own little world here, so who knows?
Yeah.
All right, nothing else there, and that's the news.
Okay, yeah. Well, Blade just linked the Jade Raymond Wikipedia page, so that was kind of cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, she founded Electronic Arts Motive Studios and Ubisoft Toronto. So that's pretty cool.
Right. Yes.
And led the creation of the first Assassin's Creed game. I mean, that's huge.
That is something.
Yeah, so she's got some serious successes under her belt.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Yes, and I was also noticing like the growth trends and so on, and it's like, interesting, because it's always interesting to see what they think will happen in the future.
Yeah.
And
they're being conservative.
They're a bit conservative, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Probably good.
Underperforming is always good as far as the stock market is concerned.
Yeah, the stock market hates it when you over promise and under deliver. They hate that. Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. That will bring us to the forced feedback, where we read out your tweets and emails. And Dekion wrote in saying, have you seen Swoderista's latest video about dye modules? She literally showcases every dye module that an artifice crafter can make. I'm very impressed at the level of detail and work that's gone into this. Would it be possible to bring it up on the next show? Or better, can she be a guest in the near future? We all miss her and her trains. That's right, because she has trains in the background whenever she's on. And then there's a link in the show notes. Yes, I actually did check that out. That was very, very nicely done. And it was a nice angle to take at it too, because obviously there's a lot of sexy ones that you can get off the cartel market, the black blacks and the black whites and all that. But yeah, it's nice to have this angle where any player can level an artificer and make these dies.
And we should say that we have a vast amount of respect for Sweaterista and the incredible content she produces. The reason she stopped appearing regularly on the show was she got a job, which was, I think, in a different city. Either way, she just was never able to overlap with us in terms of recording times. So it was definitely not any kind of deliberate choice. We would have loved to have her on the show on a regular basis. So
Right.
She is doing amazing things. So I would absolutely recommend you checking out Sweaterista's content, because she produces on a very regular basis, and it's always great stuff.
Yeah. It's a lot, tons of guide related stuff. So all kinds of stuff. So yeah. We definitely loved having her on the show. All right. Well, pretty light on the force feedback. Was there anything from the chat room that we need to go over? Let's see.
Specifically, the guys have been commenting as we've been going. Always good to see Snave.
Yeah, let's see. I forgot. It was a couple weeks ago. I listened to one of the Star Wars novels, but it was the Inferno Squad. It was the Inferno Squad that got mentioned by R2D2 ARM.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was quite good. And it is leading up to the Battlefront 2, so it's on the Imperial side, and but these aren't people who are particularly powerful. They're not. This isn't the Emperor and Darth Vader. This is like, people who are just not exactly grunts either, but they're soldiers, and so it's interesting to see a story from that point of view.
Wargames also brought up the fact that Disney is dropping Netflix as a distributor for its content, which is a little bit sad. So
Yeah, it's not happening for a
Marvel,
while.
Star Wars,
Yeah. It doesn't happen till sometime in 2018, I believe. So there's some time if you're if you're wanting to catch up on your Disney stuff on Netflix, you've got some time. But yeah, it seems like that was, and they specifically tied it into ESPN, like that was going to be part of the streaming idea, is that the ESPN will be like for streaming sports, but then they're also going to have apparently like their movies and their shows and so on as well. So yeah, apparently they feel like that's a better way to go. So I don't know if that's I do happen to know that like Disney, one of the complaints that the investors have had about Disney is that ESPN, which has been huge for them for a long time, has sort of stagnated. So maybe this is sort of a way to sort of reinvigorate the ESPN side of things. That's what I would certainly assume based on what I'm seeing.
Right.
I'm assuming, actually R2D2 just mentioned it. So Disney also own Marvel, and there's a lot of Marvel shows on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. I would presume that as a Disney property that those would go over as well.
Yeah.
So you'd have the Disney movies, you'd have Pixar, you'd have Pixar, you'd have Star Wars, you'd have Marvel, and I think they have a couple of other pretty big ones too, Winnie the Pooh, and I'm not off the top of my head, I can't remember anymore, but yeah, they have a lot of stuff. So.
And finally, Ducky, a quick shout out about Chill's podcast. He's just listening to the first show, but they're all highly recommended. That is Crypto Biography. CryptoBiography.com.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I've had some previous guests on this show, but also some people whom you will not have heard of, and yeah, I've been enjoying making that show a lot. And I just recorded another episode the other day, and that one I'm going to break that one up into 2 episodes as well, I think, I did with Kimmy's interview.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks again. All right. Well, that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /c join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live semi-bi-weekly on Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. That still sounds weird to me. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room, and thank you, Blay.
Thanks, guys. Fun as always.
And we'll see you next week.
All right.
And one last note here, Tio, before we head out. Arath of the Tron Legacy in-game suggested grabbing the boss Typh, screaming Rage for the Utini Rage this week.
Oh, I should be able to get it off YouTube somewhere.
I believe so, yeah. There's a lot of
Thank you, mate.
op takedowns of Typh, I'm sure.
What a great idea. All right. If not this week, then next week for sure.
Cool.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm sure we'll be back sometime in the near semi-bi-weekly future. Or something like that. Anyway, have a great week. May the force be with you and or serve you well. Take us out, Jill.
All right. Stopping the stream and stopping the broadcast of the Hangout.